Wow.
Has it been that long?
Oh no.
I don't.
It
I
really
don't.
has. That's
I don't.
crazy.
I don't know time anymore. It feels like it was last week.
Huh.
Oh,
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, it's just you, Richard. Because I'm hearing myself. I just popped the YouTube on.
It's like, nope, I'm not gonna go good.
All right. Uh,
well,
So
That. How about now? In like 30 seconds.
it's just you and me,
hey, there
audience.
you are.
All
You're working.
I was just about to say, like, all right, someone do their best
Then
Richard
you guys,
impression.
yeah, just
Don't
I'll mouth the words and you guys say what I'm saying. Um, anyways, rewinding back to the beginning. Welcome Anthony and Daniel and Chris to the show. You guys survived the campaign about 4 weeks ago. We finished the playing and then it aired, and I know there were a lot of questions you guys still had, and there were some questions from the viewers. So, any questions from the audience, those are welcome to put in the chat. We will answer them to the best of our abilities. But let's talk about how this whole thing ended, and we're gonna start with the elephant in the room. Um, Arsalan and Zavis had a catastrophic disagreement at the end, which Zavis got a chance to play out a little bit and ask some more questions, which Arsalan didn't really get that moment. But Arsalan, I want to give you a chance to explain your thought process a little bit. Why did you just go along with letting Volan go?
So one of Arsalan's big ideals is that people should be as free as the magic they wield. So um, he understood where Zavis was coming from and why he was so angry, but he also recognized, like, so he he knew that. I mean, he wouldn't have known that that Valen didn't teach these
Mm-hmm.
hobgoblins how to do magic, but I'm not really sure how well Arslan would have known if hobgoblins even could cast magic if they could. Uh, but he he figured that um, that it's never the teacher's fault of what the student tends to do with their magic,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's their own person. So, like, with the whole test in my backstory of whether it was my choice of whether I could have took taken Ironbark's core for my own, or use it as a component, or use it for, or just revive him. Just like I had that choice, everyone has their own choices to make in their life, and it's not a reflection of what they were taught magically. It's just a reflection of how they are as a person,
Okay, so
really.
even though Volan potentially could have taught these hobgoblins how to use magic, it's not
Mm-hmm.
her fault how they use them,
Yeah,
essentially.
because it's not like, I mean, they were in a whole bubble of silence, and it's not like she was like, "Hey, fireball them."
Yeah, yeah. They
It was
definitely
just
acted
that,
on their own accord in that
yeah, that hobgoblin
moment.
was just like, "I'm just gonna cast fireball over there, even though my friends are over there. There's a
Yes.
lot of people over there. I'm
And
just
he
gonna
was
cast it."
like, he was right there in the range, too, as
Yeah.
Daniel had pointed out, that I stood too close to the fire when I cast that fireball at you guys. Hey, Cosmic Bingo, welcome to the show. So then, with that in mind, and then it came out she didn't actually teach the hobgoblins things. And if anyone's
Mhm.
wondering, the Hobgoblin Devastator is actually in Volo's Guide to Monsters, so it's an official character or NPC kind of thing. Um, with that in mind, she showed up. She wanted to challenge you and catch you unawares, but you still chose to let her go and wait 3 more years when you had her at that point where you could end it. You could have beat her in this challenge that she had set up. Why did you just let her go then?
As much as Arslan wanted to get this battle over with her, this whole wizard's duel challenge, uh he realized that, like, from the 2 battles that he had with her, he was way outmatched. And if situations would have been different, he would have lost his life, or he would have been defeated, or who knows what could have happened.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense in that.
So he was more. It was more of like Arslan was like, I kind of want to have a fair fight now. Like it was more. It was kind of like a shake on reality for Arslan. Is like, oh wow, I really don't know magic that well, and also is like, all right, now I have a drive to learn all the magic that I can before I verse this person again, to test my own skills, to see if I, even though I did start later in life to learn magic, I have to see if I can be at least an equal level with someone that could be essentially born with magic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So she set a bar for you to achieve, and so you have to wait. You have to try to reach that goal, and you want a fair fight.
Yeah, if it was anyone else other than Volan, Arslan would not have been as selfish. Like this was a selfish choice for Arslan.
Mm-hmm.
But if it would, say, Volan had died and it was Rukvar there, go off, kill him. It's fine. I don't care about that. Like you could do whatever. I mean, I don't think Arslan would be like, oh, kill him, but he would just be like, yeah, do whatever you want with him. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good information to know on that kind of back. Zavis, does that change your decision to want to leave the group at all?
No,
knowing that?
I don't think it does. No,
Okay.
not at all. Absolutely not. Like, because like, and so here's the mindset. Like, because I think it's interesting because one of especially one of Arslan's like tenets or one of his like core beliefs is just like the idea of freedom, like, which is the same thing as Zavis. Zavis
Mm-hmm.
wants, like, one of the like bonds that I am bonded to is to rise against tyranny, to fight for freedom for yourself and others. And it's one of those things, like, and I think Anthony just said it. It's like if it was Rukvar, he'd do the same thing. And I think it's the fact that Arslan made an exception for to Zavis still. Even I think even if Arslan and Zavis had a full conversation, which I'm sure they did at some point, like, probably. I don't think there would have been any sort of like rationale that would have made sense, even if it was like for this prophecy to be fulfilled or for this battle to happen. It's just this idea of justification by all means, and which I don't think Daniel so me as a player, like, I look back and like, I think that's perfectly fine. Arslan totally should have done that, but Savis is like, no, he can't. This is not someone that he wants. If you make, because it's this idea of, if you make an exception for one person, you're going to make an exception for another person. And so I think the story is really cool, and I think it's interesting that it ended with a party split ish. Oh yeah, party split, I'll say that. So yeah.
All right.
No change.
Anthony, you sounded like you wanted to had a rebuttal.
Oh, I was gonna say is, like, despite the fact that, I would agree. Like probably Zavis and Arslan would have had a confrontation, discussion, however you want to phrase it. They would have had a discussion. They probably still would have ended up on opposite ends of this discussion, and they probably would still separate. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, I feel like Arslan would still feel really bad about it. Like, because it's like, oh, we had done all this up to this point. We've been through so much, and like now, like we there is a bond that we created, and then all of a sudden it just got split because of this one decision. Arsalan would still feel bad about it and would try to help Zavis if he could.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he'd probably be like, all right, Zavis needs space. I'll just let him have his space for a bit, and maybe sometime in the future, if we cross roads again, we can be allies again at least.
Yeah. It's like
I will say. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's kind of like having a amicable breakup.
Mhm.
Now you guys are these
Sure.
awkward exes that are like, I'll give him my space, and if we
Sure.
meet up later, maybe,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Well-
which makes sense to me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What would, if Savas had got his way, what would he have done with her?
Yeah, if Arsalan didn't stop Zavis
Oh,
in
yeah.
a way, what would Zavis have done?
So I actually wrote it down on like a bunch of just general like what options that I had. So I really didn't like. I definitely had at like the bottom of my like list is killing Volan. Like I feel like that would have been something that I don't know. I didn't want to, but if something said something like I guess that's kind of the questions that I had during like my wrap up interview was just I wanted to ask Volan and see if she really is, if she's just playing me or if she's actually telling me the truth in terms of like Zavis still sees Volan as a moronic, like high horse elf,
Mhm.
but and so with that, if it was she really just being a moron or was she a vile, wicked lady? That being said, realizing that she was just a moron, I don't think Zavis definitely wouldn't have killed her. However, if it was this idea of evil for the sake of evil, I feel like Zavis would have. Here's actually what I wrote down on like my if I go a dark end, I would have cut her hands off.
Mm.
Like I would have just been like, no, you cannot cast magic for the rest of your life. And then like I think the line I had, hold on, I actually wrote a line down. Just as you have robbed others, you are no longer given the right to your own liberty. And then I said, and then asterisk, I take my sword out and I chop her hands.
That's
That's
I
actually
know,
Wow.
super dark, right?
I-
But
so-
I don't think
Yeah.
Zavis would have. Zavis, that was like a last resort, evil for
If-
evil.
if you would have done that in front of Arslan would have been scared of you. Because I sent this to Richard a while ago, but he was like, "Oh, what is a fear that Arslan has?" And is like, Arslan is scared that he will lose his magic.
Oof, that would have been freaky.
So if you did that in front of Arslan would have been horrified.
But ultimately, Zavis just left because he's like, I don't want to deal with this. It's like, well, it's not necessarily I don't want to deal with this, but essentially any more blood out from her is on Arslan's hands. He just wanted to leave it at that point.
Yeah.
so yeah.
It was an interesting choice. I think how it ended was for me very satisfying. From watching it kind of play out and seeing your decisions. But now, do you guys have any questions about the campaign, where things could have changed? Anything you want to know? The floor is open. Anyone watching, the floor is open for questions.
Oh,
Yeah, any
I will
questions?
add though. I will add to
All right.
the topic of Arslan and Zavis. Zavis would definitely have sought out this fight in 3 years, at least to view it. Not sure what would happen post. Who knows what would happen afterwards? But Zavis would definitely watch it, or at least try to find a way to watch it, just as like a closing the book on what happened afterwards.
Mhm.
So
I
Was Tandy always a blood heir?
Yes, Tandy was always going to be a blood
Really?
heir.
I totally
Yeah.
thought you added that in. I thought that was like improvised or like added kind of into the side. Wow.
No.
That was really
How
The-
happy were you that we just sent him off to die?
Oh, that was fantastic. Like I
totally
suggested it, obviously hoping you guys would do that and send him into danger. But the fact that you guys just like were like, all right, here's Tandy, he's gonna be this badass, let's send him in there. And then I got to twist the knife later with the revelation that he is a blood heir, and you sent him right into the hobgoblins. That was fun for me. Yeah.
I'm trying.
God dang it.
So I have a question, and this has kind of been like wondering who. I don't know if there is any more thought to it, but who are the other two like people? Who are the other two? What are their names? The other two.
Samara Abel and something.
Blanco Longrunner.
Blanco.
Yeah, that part of my question was also kind of towards that. Is like, were they all supposed to connect to us?
Not to all of you.
Okay.
So there's definitely, the way I had this kind of set up is you guys would each have some connection to it, but it wouldn't necessarily mean you're connected to the Blood Heirs and to Rukvar directly. Like, Arslan, your whole connection in this was Volan. Like, she was there as your connection. That was it. There was no one in your past that as I see, is connected to the Blood Heirs. Samara Abel was the human who was involved in all of it. Human? Elf. Yeah, the elf was Zavis's family. Samara was a human who was involved in there. But in the story of her, she actually didn't have any kids before she got too old. So there is no descendants of Samara Abel.
I guess we never asked to read about her journal, right?
There was, but it was not really that important to the story, so I didn't dive into the details on that in the game. The leather helm. What's that?
Did we miss anything then? Like clues that you left us? Or hooks or anything like that?
Let me think. No, I think you guys got them. I played it pretty light with the hooks. I didn't try in a whole bunch of too deep, thought-provoking things into it, because I didn't want it to get too, what if kind of scenarios. I mean, the big one you got, the Zavis being connected to the Alun family. I mean, that was very blatant. That was just like, here you go. It's interesting seeing, for me, Ironbark's connection just with Gawk. That, I'll be honest, just kind of came up the day before the session. Like, I thought of that, and I was like, oh, this could be interesting. And then as the games progressed, and talking with Chris outside of it, you've had a lot of ideas and thoughts on this Gawk Ironbark debacle of, like, Gawk is in the future, but Ironbark's from the future. Now he's in the past trying to stop it. And that's been really interesting world-building-wise for me to see, like, take your input and kind of work on that. It's going to be some sort of, time travel Avengers Thanos kind of situation eventually, probably, maybe, somehow. I don't know. Yeah.
If Gok turns around and says that he is inevitable, we know that we've completely plagiarized.
Exactly. That was the whole point. Yeah, so I think you guys picked up on most of the little seeds and clues. There were some things, though, that definitely didn't go how I had originally planned. There were quite a few. The main one being...
that last fight, I assume? Not the last fight, but the fight that took 2 seconds?
The big fight? Yeah, that I had no idea you guys would pull it out like that. I had gone into it I made a rule for myself that once you were down, Rukvar would ignore you. Like, being down is it. Which is why he didn't end you. He didn't take attacks on a dead body or on a knocked out person. He would knock you out and then leave. I made that rule. But then I thought it would be enough. I thought I would get you guys separated and you would have these problems. But then you pulled out some crazy maneuvers. The diving in the water, the healing that was just constantly happening, and Ironbark tanking like 3 or 4 attackers all at once, just as hyenas, and like I didn't see you guys lasting that long in it. So that was definitely threw the whole thing for a loop. And then when you actually won, and like killed Rukvar, it was like, well, crap. It was kind of that situation.
So hypothetically speaking, if it had turned for the worse, we all went down.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have turned into we now have to try and stop Rukvar from trashing the town?
Yeah, that would have been the next thing.
Wow.
Like, in your
Lot of
party, you have a guy who's the grandson of a angel, right? Who has been trying to get, the attention of his granddaddy for the whole time. So had you guys gone down, you guys probably would have found your own way back, but that it was always kind of in the pocket as, like, there is help here if Riken asks, if he had asked. But then, it would have been like after that fight, Rukvar would be heading straight to the town with the rest of his army. And then you guys would have had to catch up there.
Yeah.
But the halflings were ready. They were ready.
And we didn't need them.
Yeah.
You didn't need them in the end.
I was Rukvar all along.
Yeah. Yeah, so that threw me for a loop. I did not see that coming. You were like, I'm going to do this thing over here, and I'm going to go over here and cast this guy's self, and then you're like, I look like Rukvar and sound like Rukvar, and I was like, oh, crap.
I was playing the long con, man.
Yeah, it really, I was not expecting that.
Cards.
I
Cards
half
be like-
expected you to come out as, like, the other Goblin King that you came up with in the first session. I was half expecting that. And then you like get in the fight.
Change names every 5 seconds.
That would have been an interesting situation. Yeah. Any other
Can
thoughts?
I ask? Can I ask about Gok?
Yeah.
So I don't know how much might be revealed in the future, so is he actually a hobgoblin, or is he just the god of the hobgoblins?
He's kind of a demigod. As I described him in your little vision, he has like multiple arms and, he's extra large. So think of him as like a hobgoblin who was able to ascend to godhood, kind of, with a lowercase g, I guess, is the best way. He's not a full-on... He's not like in Forgotten Realms. He's not like Helm or Lolth and those kind of gods, but he's like a little god. But he is definitely something a bit more powerful than just another hobgoblin.
So it seems like, it's got quite a lot of drama surrounding him. Or being trapped away and causing the end of an age and stuff like that in the future. So I was just sort of wondering, what is he really? How does one ascend to godhood like that?
Chris, I do have a question for you, actually, concerning this whole Gok and your backstory with Ironbark.
He's probably thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably, because this is the big question. Why? Why drink the potion?
So I think what was happening then? Ironbark was... Okay, so there had been a couple times that Ironbark was thinking about drinking the potion, becoming tied to the Gok thing, and then hiding away for thousands of years in the Oasis, and just like running away from the fight. I brought that up a couple times as like that could be a possible option, because I think we had found out that the potion would tie somebody's life to being Gok trapped and stuff like that. So I thought about that, and then I was like, he's held on to this potion this whole time, and they're successful, and they've done this small adventure to stop Gok's rise temporarily in this timeline. But he still has this potion. I was like, I gotta see what it does. Like, I think Ironbark as well would. He had this like weird sense that maybe his life is somewhat less compared to the other characters. He's not really a life like they are until he drinks it, obviously. So maybe the risk was best for him to take. But yeah, no, I'm glad I did it. I think it's a really cool story that he did. But yeah, I think it's this weird sense of like duty, perhaps.
I have two questions. One for Chris, one for Richard. Chris, well, I mean, how does Ironbark feel about now having a lifespan, essentially?
Okay, so I spent some time thinking about this, and this is going to be a bit of a weird answer, but bear with me. So in fantasy, like elves and dwarves and stuff, they live like insanely long lives, and so they just sort of procrastinate. They're like, an elf will be like, "Oh, I'll do that in 100 years. Screw it. I'm here for thousands. What's the matter?" Humans are always like kind of interesting, especially I guess in like Lord of the Rings and stuff, where they get stuff done quick because they're going to die. There's like a sense of urgency, or that their life has more meaning, but they have to fulfill their purpose because they have a shorter lifespan. I think that,
which is why they're my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool too. They get stuff done, and I think that is where Ironbark is now as well, because he's lived thousands of years and he's done the sort of just waiting around watching things, but now he's gonna die. He has an expiration, and that means that he has to step on the gas, get things done. It's like he's had 2 weeks to do the homework, and he's spent it all up to the last day doing nothing, and then he's like, oh no, I gotta get this done. So I think now he's got a sense of duty tied to the fact that he's got a limited time, and I think that's kind of cool.
Interesting. And Richard, what would have the potion had the same effects it did to? I mean, Ironbark's kind of special since he is a Warforged, but what kind of effects would have happened if either me or Riken had drinking the potion?
Or me.
Or Zavis.
Or Zavis.
I mean, Zavis
could have
I mean,
drank
I
it.
know I'm already one, but I am curious. Would it have done anything?
Yeah. So that was always kind of a question, a debate I had with myself from the moment you guys got the potion, and I knew Ironbark was thinking about just taking it, and I had already set up. It's gonna have a cost. It has a great cost, which the part of it was like, what do I do? How do I make a great cost for a Warforged? Like, they're a machine. They don't live. I can't kill him necessarily, but I can take away his immortality. But then I also knew Ironbark would enjoy that. But for you guys, for the mortals, yeah, so it's kind of this like bittersweet thing for Ironbark, where in my mind he's tied to Gawk now, but he still can't just go hide and live forever somewhere because he'll expire eventually. For you guys, though, it was a really tough process that in the end, I was like, if you took it, you were going to have to make a con save, or you would just die outright. It was going to be just a simple, that kind of thing. And then that you could think of in the mindset of the people who had prisoned Gawk away originally all survived that. But how many others may have taken it that didn't survive taking that potion at the time?
Oh my gosh.
That was kind of the idea. It was going to be like, here's your do or die moment. Do you roll well enough or not?
Damn.
But yeah.
Dang!
That was the idea.
Interesting.
So glad Ironbark drank that. I'm so glad, and he's not here, so I don't want to go too far. I'm so glad Riken did not drink that potion. Gosh, man. Especially because as a player, he has a very low con. He has a +0, meaning whatever he rolls is what he rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think I had a +2 con. Hold on, I'm about to check.
Every character should have at least a +2 con.
Yeah, you need something. There was a brief moment, I'll admit, there was a brief time where I had thought that the potion wouldn't have any impact on Ironbark at all. So just like other food or liquid, it would just pull right through him, and then he would have just poured the potion on the ground. But then as I thought about it, I was like, that's not satisfying at all. That would just
Which
be
led
sad.
for a really great ending that I
Which
watched
led-
over and over and over and over and over again. I literally watched Ironbark and Chris say, nice.
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 And I literally rewinded because it's such a good moment.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Have you
Like,
watched the
especially
show?
with the music, especially
Yeah,
with the
but in
music.
hindsight, I think I should have said something better. I was just
No,
like
that was
totally
so
stunned.
perfect. I love that ending because I literally watched Nice over and over again.
When I was editing it, I also watched it over and over again. Even when I was done, I was like, I'm done with it. I'm uploading it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. Nice. It was a nice.
I think you just need. I
poignant-
think we just need a sound cue, just like every time we complete something. Nice.
Nice.
I'm gonna cut that, and I'm gonna have that as some sort of thing somewhere.
Yeah,
every
there
time
go.
you roll a crit.
Nice. That's so great.
I'm so embarrassed because I feel like I should have said something better, but yeah. Thanks, guys. If you liked
I mean,
it,
that's-
makes it
that-
okay.
That's an in the moment natural reaction. That's the best kind.
Because it was so Ironbark, right? Like in that moment, it's like I don't like because I feel like Ironbark wouldn't. Because like this whole time he's been asking me if I want a good berry. Like it's like you know, his thoughts are very simple, and I like
Yeah.
it was so good. It was really good.
Yeah. Nice work.
Nice.
Oh, I had another question, but I forgot it briefly. Hold on. Oh, yeah, so let's talk about the future of your characters. I've mentioned kind of briefly I'm not going to say you're never going to play these characters in this world again. You know, I'm going to run games with other people. I'm going to try to bring on more viewers, whoever wants to play. But I imagine you guys will all get your chance to return, whether it's as the same group or if you've separated, stuff like that. But I want to get an idea of what would you do in the year following this event, this kind of moment. So let's start. I'm going to start with Daniel and Zavis. And I just want to know, like, you're leaving the town, you're leaving Red Cairn, you're leaving the party. What does Zavis do for the next year?
So, yeah, I've thought about this a lot. I guess one thing that is a big factor in it too is, in my mind, because I feel like, and I said this in last week, but I feel like me and Riken were good friends. I don't know because Zavis definitely doesn't blame Riken for Arsalan's choice in letting Volan free, so no quarrel there. But if Riken would have followed, then in all honesty, I would have just kind of been a little bit more passive and kind of like shared the time and figuring out what we're doing with whatever Riken was doing. But if it really was just Savis by himself, I guess that's what we're kind of
that's what we're working on.
Savis, first thing is definitely to find his family. He's going to find this elven city of Ezo, find out who his dad is, find out who the Alun family is, and get answers to everything. Because, one, he's never met his dad and never really thought he would ever meet his dad, just in any time. But because of this event specifically, he's like, I need to find my dad and at least figure this out. That brings on a lot of weight as anyone who doesn't have one of their parents throughout their upbringing. So that's one thing. The second would be a continual commune, or trying to commune with the Changebringer.
Okay.
Which, in that sense, I feel like Savis would have started taking more Bard, or more Cleric than Bard, at kind of this point going forward. I didn't think that's what I was going to do, but I feel like this whole shenanigans and everything that's happened has really kind of made him just like, I appreciate the gift that the Changebringer has given Savis, and Savis definitely wants to continue finding out who she actually is. So yeah,
Okay.
that's what Savis would do.
So that could be an epic adventure to find your family home, essentially. All
An
right.
interesting adventure, because I have no clue where it could possibly even be to start. I think I'd go to just the biggest city to figure things out first. I don't know where that is, but yeah.
All right, that's a pretty good one. All right, then Chris and Ironbark, you I know have kind of anguished over what Ironbark would do after this, but I want to know what's your decision? What do you think Ironbark would go and attempt to do?
One thing I'm undecided on that's a little bit easy is like, I wonder if he would want a name, like a real name, like a real boy.
What would his name be?
Yeah,
I know.
now we need to know.
And I don't know. And I've,
Would you ask would you ask Arsalan and consult him?
Oh man, that's too much.
Yeah, I
pressure.
think I would ask everyone maybe, or maybe if a viewer has a good idea or something like that. I was thinking something like Wiccan or something, but I don't know.
Wiccan, like
Wow, I don't even know.
Like a wicker tree.
Yeah,
I
'cause
pictured
think
Wicket from Star Wars when you said Wiccan.
if somebody says Groot, I'll ban you.
Barry Ironbark, says Jack Grimble.
He is Barry.
Barry Ironbark.
It's so ridiculous.
And Cosmic Bingo suggests Styx with a Y.
I like Styx. Does the river Styx exist in D&D?
Not in this world. Yeah,
I mean,
so
you could say like the river Styx.
you could just
Yeah.
call it that. Anthony,
few-
what
There is
would
a
you
river, but
suggest
it's not
as a
the same
name?
one. Did you ask me?
I want to hear a name idea from both of you guys.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of sprung this on you. But I
Yeah.
feel like he's grown past like Ironbark, which is just like literally a description of what he kind of looks like.
You could be like Barry G Barry. So it's like your first name is Barry and then your middle initial is G for no reason and then just
For
Barry.
good berry.
Yeah, for good Barry, of course. But
Very good berry.
Wow. I don't know, man.
I think you just broke the discussion, Chris, with that
I mean,
question.
literally, all I'm thinking is all the Pokemon professors from.
So here's
right.
honest. Okay, so here's my thought. I'm not sure about a first name, but I would love if Ironbark's last name was Goodberry.
Right? I mean, I
You
think
know-
that goes without saying.
Like I don't know, something like man, I don't
Something
know.
good, Barry.
So here's what
yeah.
we'll do then, Chris. This is just, if you play again, we'll give you ideas, but don't settle on something on this stream. And then next time
Yeah.
you come and play, then you can reveal it if you want to bring Ironbark back again next time you play.
That's crazy. Good.
But yeah,
Barry.
so I'll have a look at the comments and stuff, see if anyone comes up with anything that I really like as well. Because yeah, Ironbark is very near and dear to me now, so I want to give him like a good name.
Yeah, so anyone watching this after the fact, leave a comment, tell us name ideas for Ironbark.
Yeah.
You have Carpinus Goodberry and Twiggy Barrel Chest have also been suggested.
Yes, thanks. Amazing. So yeah, undecided. Something a little bit badass, but a little bit funny. That's what I want. Just like Ironbark. As for his future, the next year, it's difficult because I don't know. I think part of me was like, oh, would he want to stay with Arsalan for the 3 years to help him with the duel with? Oh my god, what was it?
Volan.
Volan.
Bolin. And I was like, no, that's more Arsalan's story. Arsalan's very near and dear to him, but I feel like now, as I was sort of saying earlier about the human, like the lifespan shortening, life is now more precious and can search for a purpose. I think he has this desire to do more now, and I think at least in the timeline that we're in currently, I think things are okay.
Mhm.
So I think he'd spend some more time with his friends that he's garnered over the time, and hopefully Zavas spends a bit of time having a few beers with the boys, with Barry's boys, before he shoots off and goes his little moody separate way.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think he'd enjoy life, and then duty, purpose. He's got stuff to do. And more so than anyone, I think, as well, because he drank that potion, and he's the one person who's now seen Gok. And Richard said a line in the last session there that he had the sense that their fate was entwined. I think he has more stuff to do, and I don't know what form that will take, but I think he'd head back to the Oasis, and from there, who knows?
Gosh, what if the Oasis is like in the Oasis is this hidden citadel? Ugh, and then I just happen to meet Ironbark. Giving you ideas, Richard. Ideas right there.
Yeah, It's archived on the channel now. I'll have to go back and watch this later and steal all these ideas.
I don't know if he would head back to the Oasis and try and hone his druidic power and become more powerful, and then, somebody else like Arsalan might come crashing bloody through the undergrowth and ask for his help in some other timeline or place or.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Ironbach, it's been 40 years.
yeah, or he just gets, I don't know, because when they created the Warforged in the Fourth Age, I think, when Gok's forces created them, there was an unknown artifact that was found that allowed them to be created. So perhaps he could try and stop that from happening, or pop out in another time when there's another descendant who's about to die, and he's like, "Oh, gotta try and prevent that for a moment" or something. I don't know. Could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
you think he would definitely head back to the Oasis, right?
Yeah, I think, spend some time with the boys. That's number one. Always, got to look out for the boys.
Yeah.
Have a chat with the gang, come up with a name. He's one of the boys now, a proper bloke.
Proper boy.
He's a proper boy. Maybe leave his little chest bird with Arsalan as a parting friend gift. As heartbreaking as that is.
So sad.
That does sound pretty sad.
He would, his staff that he's used this whole time with Shillelagh and magic, he would give to Zavas to remember his allies, and Riken would give him a few berries. Hope they fix his brain.
A few berries for the road.
And he'd begin wandering, trying to find the Oasis again. See where that takes it.
Interesting. Jack Grimble, to answer your question, I would not make Chris make a new character sheet with human as his race yet. I would still count him as Warforged, just have a little extra something, I don't know, something else. But no new character sheet needed at that point.
Free feet.
A free
Variant human.
Yeah,
very inhuman at that point.
Very human.
Yeah.
No. We'll just keep you as a Warforged. All right, then Arsalan, you have you kind of set a kind of a stage for yourself over the 3 years. But what do you do for the next year?
I'm conflicted because there's 4 things that I want to do. There's one, I want to see. One, Arslan would want to at least for a little bit stay with the halfling village, just to make sure their defenses are good, and possibly even see if Tandy has a knack for magic.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay. So the Padawan becomes the master kind of situation.
Yeah, just so he can protect himself a little bit more.
Interesting. That's cool.
Okay. The other thing,
arcane trickster.
the other thing that Arslan would probably want to do is just kind of, it's conflicting because part of him wants to go back to his master to just tell her and explain what had happened, and just be like, I need more training, please. But then also he would want to try to find the dwarf descendant.
Okay.
Because he now has a goal in his life to get better at magic in 3 years, but also he has this interest now in Gok.
Right.
And just because he knows of 2 of the descendants, which is Zavis and Tandy.
Mm-hmm.
And
now Ironbark.
Well, Ironbark's not a descendant. He's fresh blood.
He just made himself a link.
Yeah.
So he would try to find. I mean, he doesn't know anything about the human, whether or not she had a child or not. He wouldn't
Mhm.
have known that. But he would try to find the dwarf descendant
Yeah.
just to see where they're at, just to be like, all right, let's see if they can like at least defend themselves.
Okay.
Because also Arslan still like he like part of him wants to go back to his teacher, but also the reason that he went off was because his teacher was like, go off into the world and learn more about the
Mhm.
world and magic. So he's hoping maybe if he goes off to find this other descendant, he can one learn more about magic, two figure out the whole descendant thing, and just probably just grow as a person as well.
Okay. So it sounds like Arslan really just got tied in now to the Gok situation and really just wants to make
Yeah.
sure, kind of be involved in that. Would Arslan tag along with Ironbark then?
I mean, it seemed that was kind of like the fourth thing is like, oh, just kind of tag along with Ironbark and try to figure out his whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to see like if see, I mean, he wouldn't be able to do that in a year, but just possibly just find out like if there was in any way he could help Ironbark, either figure out this whole time displacement thing that happened to him, and also figure out if there is a way to get him back home if he wanted to go back home.
It's no good. Don't send me back. It's no good.
Well, just like the fourth thing would be like to help Ironbark, but if Ironbark wanted to just go and go back to the Oasis, Arslan would also be interested in the Oasis. He would probably go to figure out is like what is go back to the Oasis where he found him is like what is so special about this place.
Mm-hmm. Maybe investigate that a little more.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe run into Zavis as he's gone there already.
That'd be such an
Yeah.
interesting, like that would be such an interesting, like I don't know, session 1.
Yeah,
and
it'd
then
just be
us
like,
meeting back. I was like,
you're back.
you're here. I wasn't
You again.
expecting you here.
Fancy meeting you here.
Because also I think the Oasis would probably provide answers about magic that Zavis would not Zavis, that Arslan would want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's interested in all forms of magic, and he's interested in the history of magic. So, and the Oasis may be a good place to start there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting ideas. You guys all have some really great plans for your characters. We'll see what plays out next time you guys get to jump in a campaign here. Before we wrap up, I am going to ask you guys another question. Any other questions that you guys have come up with since we've been talking? No?
No, not really.
I'm sure I had some, but now.
All right. Well, you guys know how to reach me if you have questions.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to ask you guys all, I like to give this kind of advice, and you guys have all given advice. What is your number one tip for new players that you didn't give me in our one-on-one chats? Let's start with Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah, let me put you on the spot.
Number one advice that I didn't give. I think I said to like the mechanics of the character you play, because you're going to be doing that a lot.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, you really had to do it to him. I think new player that isn't necessarily about character creation.
Yeah.
The book looks really, can I swear? Really
Sure.
damn, I won't, but really damn effing intimidating. Like it looks like a lot when you first pick it up, and honestly, it's not. Things just start going, and there's a lot of stuff in the book that you won't need for a long time. So I think if you're new to D&D, just find a group that I think some people can find groups that are like really diehard in the middle of campaigns and they join and they're new and it might not be super friendly, but if you can find sort of like a sort of newish DM or like a small newer party as well, and sort of learn the game together, it's really nothing. It's really quite easy to pick up once. Yeah, just don't be intimidated by, because there's loads of books now. There's a lot going on.
There's too many books.
I mean, like 70% of it is just describing what you want to do, and then the DM can just tell you, "I'll roll a d20 and add that number. You'll be fine." That's
pretty much. That's how it starts, and then 3 weeks later, you're min-maxing and trying to break the DM's ideas.
You hand him a handbook of your character backstory.
Yeah. You give him the novel.
You're looking and you're like,
I want a paladin smite and warlock smite at the same time with double range.
That sounds so horrible. I already don't like this.
Explode the enemy in one hit, please.
you don't want to be. Don't worry about that.
All right, that's a good thing to remember. That's your tip. All right, Anthony.
I think the last time I talked about the freedom of creating your character, of like going up, like go off of a character that you know. Don't be the book is a guideline and everything when it comes to creating characters. I think for my tip, I guess for the roleplay aspect, when it so I guess this is more of a two-parter. One, when it comes to combat, don't be afraid to describe what you're doing, like in more detail. Like instead of being like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit him with my axe," be like, I bring back my axe and I swing for his legs, or something. Like just embellish it a little bit more to make it more enjoyable with everyone involved, and that also encourages everyone else to do the same, and it makes the story even more clearer. And also, just don't be afraid to yes and sometimes, because that like this D&D TRP tabletop RPGs, this is all improvisation. I don't know if I said that right. Is this all improv? So like, don't be afraid to yes and, because if you just know but everything, then you just become stagnant. And
that's a really good. I also know that's a thing I struggled with that when I started too. Like it's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, Daniel, what's your tip?
Last week I gave the tip of build a character, not a character sheet. So make sure because you'll enjoy it more. And so with that, my complimentary second tip is definitely you get out of D&D what you put into it. So and with that, there's this also segmented bonus tip of be a student of your own character. Think about who he is. Like look at your especially some of the stuff like learning how your class abilities work. Like I'll say don't try to learn how your class works for the sake of wanting to be a rules lawyer. Learn how your class works so that way you know your character better. So, and it also, in terms of combat, speeds things up a lot instead of saying, I don't know yet, and then thinking about it on there. So yeah, be a student of your own character. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, that really does.
Can I give a bonus one?
Go for it.
I think as well, what helps a lot is if you have like a big combat going, try and think of what your next turn is going to be before it gets to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I know that things might change because it's combat and the thing you were thinking of, attacking might die or whatever. Try and have
all combat notes here. This is all from that one combat.
He's mad. You don't need to do that.
No, you don't.
But have an inkling of an idea.
But I wanted to be ready.
Yeah. You don't need 20 different plans for every single turn, but have an idea just so that you can, if people get through quicker, then you can get back to the juicy RP as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think that's also a really good point, because it helps keep you engaged with the fight. If it's a long combat, like the one we did, the big one, like I had like 20 characters I was running through, and it took us forever. But you know, if you're constantly thinking about what will I do next, and as the fight changes, you can keep up that thought process. And so when it is your turn, you're ready to go. That keeps you engaged in the fight.
Yeah.
Without relying fully on the DM to be like, come on, guys, you gotta be involved. Because we're juggling a lot. When you're running a game, you're juggling a lot of things too. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I guess with that, guys, thank you guys for coming on the campaign and the show. It was a real pleasure to have you guys. Zach, we miss you. If you watch this, we're sad you couldn't make it. We miss you, buddy. But thank you guys again for playing and kicking off this campaign with the community. For those in the next group, watch your emails this next week so we can get that ball rolling as well. And if you haven't signed up already, the link for signing up to be in the campaign is in the description. There's just a little form to fill out. So check that out,
fill that out
as
now.
well.
Do it.
Yeah, go ahead and fill it out. And with that, thank you guys for watching.
Nice.
Nice.
Bye. Wait. Nice.